Hello. The reason of this video is to show the findings in my research I did on the Texas City, Texas 1947 explosion. So the explosion actually occurred, as I just stated, in Texas City, Texas. And it occurred on April 16th and 17th of 1947. The crew workers on the cargo ship saw that there was smoke in the cargo area. So in an effort to try to keep the cargo intact and okay, they tried to smother the fire by taking the oxygen out versus just extinguishing the fire with water. So they did that. They closed all the ventilations into the cargo room. They closed everything. And the fire was not extinguished by the smothering, and they were not aware that the fire did not extinguish. And so once the cargo area reached a high enough temperature, it sparked and exploded. In the cargo area, there were 2,300 pounds of fertilizer stowed away. And once the explosion happened, it caused a mushroom cloud to go around 2,000 feet in the air, which caused two small airplanes near the area at the time of the explosion to be destroyed and crashed. The explosion was so big that it was heard for over 150 miles away. The explosion sent burning shrapnel flying through the air and all over the place, and ended up causing more fires. The SS High Flyer, which was carrying large amounts of sulfur and crude oil, actually caught fire, and it burned for days. When the explosion hit and the shock wave, it caused a 15-foot tidal wave to go wiping through. And with all this occurring, the explosion and the tidal wave and fires, somewhere between 400 to 600 people were killed, and it left over 4,000 people injured. I believe that the crew that was working on the cargo ship would be responsible. Sorry, that's my dog. Considering they did not extinguish the fire properly, and once they tried, they didn't really make another effort. They just tried to smother it. A way that something that could have prevented this, or a few things, maybe once the crew workers realized that the fire wasn't going out by smothering it, they should have just said, oh well, to the cargo and put the fire out with water versus just not doing anything. They also could have tried to contain the fire, but they were in such a small area. In the cargo area, it would have been a very hard fire to contain. The main chemical that was involved was ammonium nitrate, but oil and sulfur also got thrown into the mix when the SS High Flyer ship caught fire and burned the sulfur and the crude oil that was aboard that. The physical state of ammonium nitrate is solid at room temp. It's typically white or bead-like powder. It has a melting point of 196.6 degrees Celsius and a boiling point of 210 degrees Celsius. The chemical properties is readily soluble in water. The formula for it is NH4 and NO3, and it's known for oxidizing, or it's known as an oxidizer. The use, as I just stated, is an oxidizing agent and is used in many fertilizers and explosives. Recently, it actually became known as not technically a weapon of mass destruction, but it can cause mass destruction if not handled properly. Some health problems that occurred with this were obviously severe burning, water drownings from the tidal wave, and inhalation poisoning from inhaling all the crude oil and the sulfur and the ammonium nitrate that got burnt in the explosion and the fires. At the time, most of the first responders were affected by the explosion themselves, so most of them were either killed or badly injured, and most of their equipment was destroyed, so they couldn't really fight the fires either way. First responders at the time weren't really trained in how to handle ammonium nitrate or chemical fires, specifically ammonium nitrate, and so they really struggled in that area as well. But nowadays they evacuate the area and isolate the scene. Procedures include having the right equipment. They're taught to make the scene as small as possible as soon as it occurs, and yeah. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the video.